Can you hear me now over on Instagram and YouTube? That was my bad. um, so yeah, this week, I was looking into ancient Egyptian mythology, more specifically the Ma'at, the ideology behind it, and it's a belief where everything that we do contributes to the balance of the universe. So every thought, every word, every action, everything contributes to the chaos or the harmony, and so they used to think that when you would die, the what was it? They would weigh your heart against the feather against the feather, and if it was light enough, you would pass. If it was heavy, then you would fail. So it just kind of made me wonder, what does that really say about society if that were true? The ideology behind it. Just one of those fun little things that not many people really look into or care about, and uh, it all ties into the idea of collective consciousness, the idea that, um, uh, you know, more people with the same belief can influence the reality around them. And, the real psychology behind it is, it's kind of, I guess the best way that I could explain it would be like cliques in high school. If you remember in high school you had a certain group of friends that you hung out with every single day, and over the course of your high school period, you probably wore similar clothes, similar brand names, listened to similar music, you know, so that if there was an artist that came out and you guys were really, really all about that artist, and that artist came to town, you would be more likely to go see that concert if there were four of you than if there were just one of you. And it's a small example of collective consciousness. And the reason being is because you guys have believed that you guys could go together, so you made it happen. And to me, that's what the psychology behind it says. Um, but then there's a lot of different areas to look into, a lot of different examples from the harmonic convergence to the Maharishi effect to the noosphere, the collective unconscious, collective effervescence. I mean, there's so many different directions to look into with it, and just the sheer fact that there's this much information, this much knowledge, this much education, whatever you want to call it, on these topics, it goes to show that there must be something real behind it. It's just a matter of figuring out what the real part behind collective consciousness is and what the mechanics are there. And that's, over the course of the time, what I hope to explore, the real mechanics behind collective consciousness and the idea of collective intention and how we use that to kind of shape the world. But I'm not just about that. That's kind of what these 5 minutes that we're going to be doing here in, 45 minutes is going to be about. Uh, I think that, our political system is broken, our government systems are broken, and that instead of us trying to beat them, we need to move around them. It's time that we start just bypassing them and working on building communities, building and working with small businesses, trying to help them grow so that they can be successful through collaboration versus competition. It's one of the main reasons why I do all of this, is just to try to get the ideas out there for the people that actually want to participate. Because, everything I've done is a kind of a decentralized thing. There are no leaders to follow. We don't have a government system. We don't have structure. We're just a couple of ordinary people that like to do fun things and have creative ideas, and really like to work with people online, different creators and things, to see what is possible. It's how we got the Great Synchronization to grow, was through, it started off with just us, and then another creator started sharing it, and then another, and it grew. We had millions of people worldwide participating. So, um, which is why we also do these weekly syncs. A lot of people wanted more of them. We decided, if we do them every weekend, that would be dope. But then we didn't want people in the southern hemisphere, for those of you that joined from the southern hemisphere, to feel like, we weren't making it easy for them, because there were people in Australia that got up for the Great Synchronization between like 2, 3, 4, 5 a.m. To participate, and we didn't want to do that over and over and over again. So that's why we created this second time, was for them. And then on May 16th, we do have another form of the Great Synchronization. This one we call the Wave, and it is a 24-hour period of intention where every hour in each time zone at 1 p.m., we're going to uh, do the 5 minute pause. So it would be like, I think it starts, for me, it's going to start on like Friday at 6 p.m., I think is the first one. And it'll go until Saturday at 6 p.m. for me. And that will cover the entire day of May 16th. Every hour on the hour, we'll pause for 5 minutes. And we're going to live stream for that in 24-hour period. So I will be around live streaming, talking to people, talking to myself if need be. And just yeah, just trying to keep that positive energy from all of this going, trying to keep it fresh in people's mind. The idea of the 5 minute pause, the 5 minute practice, and how 5 minutes is really just, you know, it's really all it takes to change your life if you really think about it, because they're not broken, they're designed that way. Yeah, I don't know. I might be broken over there, unearthly witch, but that's kind of why I am this way. So, no, we just want to keep the idea that 5 minutes is really all it takes for one person to change their life. Because if you take 5 minutes to pause and really reflect on what's important to you, what we're actually fighting for, then you're gonna find out the more and more you do it, the more and more you might actually resolve within yourself. And 5 minutes is the minimum amount of time required. You need that full 5 minutes because the human attention span is, just a couple of seconds. It takes more than 5 seconds to get a person's attention hooked, um, to the point where they'll watch a video for longer than a minute. So human beings have some really short attention spans. It makes it tough for content creation, but at the same time, um, we're still growing. We haven't stopped growing. People are still showing up. People are still participating in the pause every weekend. And, we've got other people that are getting involved now, other people that are making posters and flyers and graphics. Nikki, if you're in here, I know she popped into the earlier one. We do appreciate um, all of your help with the graphics. Yeah, Xteen, we want everybody to join in on 'em. It's a great practice, even if they're not in the stream. It'd be nice to see more people taking 5 minutes to their self every day to just pause. So, hello over there on YouTube. Let's see what Kevin, Alicia, Krish, how are you today? Um, because it's just a good practice. We're not going to try to get people to commit to an hour of meditation or anything like that because we do understand that life is busy. But 5 minutes, if we could get everybody to commit to just 5 minutes a day at the same time to focus on peace, focus on love, focus on things that are really going to be beneficial to society instead of always pushing the chaos, pushing the noise, pushing the hate, um, we'd see a massive shift. Social media is one of those places where we could easily change the face of social media. It would just take a couple million people to consciously think about what they're sharing, what they're commenting on, how long they're watching videos, because we have influence over the algorithm if we have enough people. But that's the problem. It's just we can never get enough people all at the same time in unison to do the right thing for an extended period of time because people want to shut things down for like a day or 2 days. Well, we can't shut things down for the required period of time. It'll never work. We'll cave before the economy will even flinch. But what we can do is we could strategically coordinate around certain sectors like subscriptions, social media, I have a list of them. There's a video on all my pages about this, the economic pressure points, where you could take 5 million people for anywhere from a couple of weeks to a couple of months and have them just stop subscribing to things, and that's enough money to start inflicting pain on these wealthy people because subscriptions, when you think about it, yeah, they provide a service, but what does that service really cost them to stream? They're paying for the overhead for their building and their staff and stuff like that, but it's not like they have a ton of like a restaurant has food. Food is a huge, huge portion of their cost. Fabrication places have all the material. Yeah, I guess Netflix has like royalty fees and stuff like that, but even still, cutting subscriptions out for 2 to 3 months and replacing that activity with something that's creative, something that is, educational or informative or just like me doing research on just random topics because I spend a lot of time researching just random stuff. It helps grow you internally. It stops feeding into the system, and we would start noticing a trend in shifts because eventually we would reach the policy level. There's no doubt in my mind. It's just nobody wants to get rid of their comfortable and convenient lives. We would have to make that sacrifice, even if it was just for a year. We only have 6 months until the election. So if we want to see any measurable change, we need to be able to get everybody on the same page. And, instead of drastically making cuts out of our life, strategically make small changes in our lives collectively that would influence change. Because that's a little bit more manageable for human beings. Human beings don't like change. They don't like large change. They don't like fast change. They just kind of want everything to always be the same. And if there is change, they want to be able to ease into it. So we can create that change. We really can. It's really just, like I said, a matter of, instead of spending that $50 at Walmart, finding a more efficient way of spending that $50 at a small business or at, another small creator, something artistic, something like that, or learn a new hobby, build your own, however you want to, go about it. And we'll get there eventually, but the focus of this is pieces of practice. So I try to post something positive every day. This is a powerful thing, man. I appreciate that, guys. Yeah, we're really trying. That's all we can do is try, each of us individually. Like I said, we're nothing more than the ideas and your friendly reminder every week that, peace is up to us. Peace is entirely up to us. Everything about peace is it's us, so and it's our choice, which not a lot of people seem to realize that peace is a choice. It's a daily choice. We don't have to choose to troll people on the internet. We don't have to choose to spread chaos and spread hate. We can spread a lot of positive messages, just like Buckster over here on Instagram was talking about, posting something positive every day, whether it be just written words or even just a positive message to the people out there, and that's how all of this started. Really was me just doing simple reels and trying to come up with ideas. I never expected to gain all the followers and which we're grateful for. We love it. We love that more people are kind of on the same page that change needs to happen because change does need to happen. I just don't think we have to burn the world down and destroy it and get at each other's throats all the time to get there. I think that there is a way to hold the right people accountable for what they've done. And I think that moving beyond that, there's a good way to change the system without having to wait the 40 years it would take to actually change it through politics. Because let's face it, politics, they don't move quickly. And anybody that wants to believe that politics is going to change overnight as soon as, the midterms happen or, 2028 happens, they're delusional. That's just not the case. Because as long as there's money in politics, we can't make that kind of a change. We have to try to do things around them. So, and that's where like my blog comes in. I do have a blog, weirdsquared.com. There's a Peace and Perspective tab where I am going through day by day, starting to break down um, the shift from the corporate culture and corporate America into the small business renaissance. I think that's where the United States especially needs to head here in the near future is focusing on small businesses and communities because when you think about like we live in the Twin Cities. And between the Twin Cities and the suburbs, there's probably got to be close to 1 million people down here. So there's definitely plenty of people for there to be plenty of small businesses. It's just there's a lack of exposure. That's one of the biggest problems is, even if you try to uh, use social media or use the internet, you have to pay for advertising to get like any kind of guaranteed exposure. And then even still, that paid advertising, that paid social media platform, it's not guaranteed exposure. It just says that you could get exposure. Your content matters, Um, the message matters because of the psychology, the way that we've been trained by mainstream to like look at advertising and look at, everything on TV and on social media and because of that training, it's difficult to want to go towards a smaller business, a smaller creator, a smaller everything. A lack of trust, I guess, is what it would be. We don't trust in people that don't have the, backed up experience. But when you think about to me, I think about it this way. I look at a small business and I see the pride that somebody has taken in that business, knowing that they started it by themselves or with a small group of friends or with their significant other and built it from the ground up. So there's going to be more pride in the work that they do, which to me almost always guarantees at least a quality aspect that isn't going to be there in some corporate, run of the mill, say like mechanic or something like that. So, I definitely think that the small business renaissance needs to happen and that we need to start focusing on collaboration instead of competition. Competition between small businesses doesn't make any sense. It's an inefficient way of spending money when you're always trying to waste money spending it trying to beat the other guy when you guys could take that same amount of money, energy, and resources and help each other out, sharing your same customer base to try to grow your customer base. It's collaboration. Collaboration will always, outgrow any kind of a competition. So, and the more energy you put into something will always give you a higher result. Um, or a better result for an outcome as long as you're willing to put that time, energy, and effort into it from the get-go. So yeah, small businesses. That's definitely where I think we're going. Um, Beyond everything political. If I had to say where we're heading with politics, man, all I know is it's not good. No matter which way you try to look at it, because right now you're looking at like a stray dog backed into a corner, a stray rabid dog backed into a corner who has basically unlimited resources. So you just can't say what's going to happen there. And with like the war in Iran, um, and then even if the election happens and things switch, there's such a distrust in the political and government system. It doesn't matter which side of the fence that they're on. Nobody trusts anybody. And with good reason, because everybody's still tied to money. Everybody still has APAC or whatever. I guess there's that one guy from Texas that says he hasn't taken any kind of an APAC um, contribution, but I'd be willing to bet you that every politician right now out there has somebody with their hands in their pockets trying to, influence the way things go one way or the other, whether it be tech companies or pharmaceutical companies and that's just the way the world works, which is why the money in politics just needs to disappear. It just needs to be non-existent, not we make new policies to make it um, better because it's not getting any better. It's just that it just needs to be done away with. They are servants of the people. They get a salary just like every other person on this planet. The insider trading needs to stop. There needs to be an accord of accountability for all of these politicians. They can't keep doing things in corrupt ways, uh, committing crimes and getting away with it. Because I talked about this in a post the other week. The UN had passed like a resolution saying that the enslavement of African Americans was the gravest crimes against humanity. And it's like, great, that's a step in the right direction. Well, then there was this James Karaoke guy had made a comment how um like the present governments and stuff shouldn't be held accountable for the past governments mistakes and whatnot. And it's like, well, we're taxpayers and we pay for the uh old wars that haven't been paid off and old debts, and when a politician has to pay a settlement or the government has to pay a settlement, we have to pay all that as taxpayers. That money doesn't just like magically come out of nowhere. So then that means we're paying for things that we aren't directly responsible for. So it can't be one way or the other unless you're willing to, actually admit that there's a double standard there. And there's a double standard when it comes to like, I look at a lot of people look at everything as binarily. I try to look at everything with three ways. We have this way, that way, and then there's always the one in the middle. And with our government system and our political system, it does kind of seem to be that way. It does seem to be like there's three different systems between the extremely wealthy, the upper class, and the lower class, or I guess the middle class and the lower class. Everything is different for depending on, where you live, where you grew up, what color your skin is, what language you speak, and it should be a single unified government system. And especially because of politicians and because of the wealthy, they need to be held accountable. Politicians should have like a metric system. We should get to decide every single year if our politicians are doing their job. And if they aren't doing their job, they should get primaried. It should just be like a thing. People are willing to show up for the election. I'd be willing to bet you we'd have more voter turnout if there was a little bit more say and influence on the public side of, the elections. Because I don't think a lot of people realize how much faith we've lost in those. So, and that's the main reason why people don't go vote, because they don't feel like their vote is going to count. But if we could substantially see that impact by doing, a metric system for these politicians where every single year, the people could opt in to send in a ballot or something that was like, oh, well, this politician sucks. And, they would get rated on this metric system, and then the metrics would either primary them or put them in a probationary period. So I keep saying this to people, what if stop buying groceries for a certain time period? No, you don't want to do groceries, gas, and you can't really crash the consumers or crash the market. Crashing the market would be extremely challenging unless were like Elon Musk or Donald Trump, because you need to have the influence. You'd need to have a large platform. You would need to create the hype behind it. And in terms of like groceries or gas, well, the thing about our economies are they're designed to absorb shock like that. So we can't survive without groceries for longer than a month. The economy can definitely go more than a month without us buying groceries. That's the way that it's designed. So these general strikes, people aren't thinking these through. This is why we really need to think about what we're going after strategically. This is why I've kind of another reason why I've kind of built this space is because I'm looking for some of those free thinkers and those people who want to like bounce ideas around in a realistic manner. Obviously we're not trying to jump into the realm of violence and hate and things like that, but like peaceful protests. And I've got the wave, and then so then something else we have coming up here, that I'll be dropping all of the info for on April 20th of 2026. So that's in 16 days. We have all the information for this next project coming out, and we call it the Missing Piece Project. So it is a public storytelling documentary style project. We are going to be doing public collaboration, which means that we are going to be looking for between 500 and 1,000 people to work with for this project. We are going to be working on it for over the next probably year, putting it together. So if you are somebody who likes to record videos or take photos, or you write poetry or are a musician, and you are interested in potentially getting into a really big collaboration project, a really creative artistic project, keep that in mind. Check out the website. Um, Periodically, we're going to be doing a lot of updates about it. So that's the Piece Project. April 20th is when we're going to drop all the information. And then if you weren't in here earlier, May 16th is the Wave. So that's coming up as well, other than, the syncs that we have going on every Saturday, 1 and 9 p.m. Eastern. So also my blog, weirdsquare.com. We do have a blog now, the Small Business Renaissance, starting to talk more in depth about that. You should go check that out. If you haven't checked out the website, we've also done some upgrades to the website, trying to clean it up, give it a better feel, a little bit more information on what we're trying to do. It's still bare bones as we work on expanding it, so bear with us. But just try to pop in every once in a while and check out, see what's new. We do appreciate everybody sharing our content, checking us out on social media, and doing things like that. So, but the website is where we're going to be doing the main everything for everyone, since not everybody has all four platforms. We want to make sure that we always have everything accessible for everyone for free. That's the other thing. So we do appreciate everybody that has sent donations, that has bought merch, sent us stars or badges or gifts on Facebook, Instagram, anything like that. uh, that support is helping us keep everything free for you guys, because we do intend and still intend on putting more out there between, what we have going on now, the blog, but then also actual resources where we might be able to help other small businesses grow through collaboration with the Great Synchronization. The idea is small community events. People in other cities, states, and countries could set up these small events for the Great Synchronization using their business, or using, if they have a yoga studio, or if they do meditation, or even it's just a group of friends. But anyways, and we're going to try to come up with like a calendar and a way for people to check out in your city or state what events you could attend for the Great Synchronization. Because, if you're just having to go somewhere and do something for 5 minutes, you get an extra 55 minutes to mingle and make connections with people around the globe. So I think that that's really important. I think it's a good way to find like-minded people who are interested in the same ideas, peace and love and unity and respect, that you could either build business connections, or friendships or relationships, or it's a new way of connecting people through just shared intention. You don't need to be, it's not people of any specific religion or anything like that. This is just every day, or everybody, what am I trying to say? Everyday people just looking for a better life and looking for a way to connect with those people without having to jump through advertisements and paywalls and all that stuff, because we all know how much we hate uh all that stuff. Like, we don't, I don't know, I think it's unnecessary. I'm not trying to do this to profit hugely. I am just trying to do this because I love you guys, and I think that things need to change. um so that's all we can, I guess, say, is that things need to change, and it starts with us. Yeah. So, how's everybody else doing tonight? I see there's a couple of you here on Instagram. I love the idea of groups gathering locally to promote peace, love, unity, and respect. Yeah, I mean, and that's what we're hoping for. But it really just kind of depends on the people. It depends on all the people that have followed us and have followed the great synchronization, getting the initiative to actually start those groups, start those communities, host them. Feel free to reach out to me if you're trying to get either like material for what we do, or posters, or just information. Because we encourage other people to share this as well, to share what we do, to like I said, create. We've already had so many different little events and stuff that have popped up. We've been a part of, we had some people share some live streams of events that they've done. One was over in London. We've done interviews with people in Spain and South Africa. And so it's been a really fun experience. And we're just really trying to encourage people to just do it more, do it on their own. You guys don't need us to practice peace. We just open this space up every weekend for people to do it with other like-minded individuals. This is a guaranteed way to know that there are other people that are taking that same 5 minutes with you, to focus on the positive things in life and focus on love and unity and respect. That this reminds me of the Dark Crystal Great Conjunction. I'm not familiar with the Dark Crystal Great Conjunction reference, so I can't comment on whether it's odd or not. I mean, I guess I could. I wouldn't say that it's odd. It's, human beings doing what they do. They see something, and they're like, oh, well, I saw this, and then we relate the two together, and, that's a lot of what I do. I spend a lot of time trying to research things and look for answers and things. But if I'm looking for something, say in physics, I'm not looking directly at the problem. I try to find things where they have similarities, where I might be able to find um, a better answer. Right now I'm actually working on Riemann's hypothesis and the Navier-Stokes, their Millennium Problems from the Clay Math Institute, and I've been working on them for, I don't even know how long have I been working on these things for, like a year now. So I've been working on these problems for like a year, and they are extremely hard. And I think Navier-Stokes, I may have finally made some real headway this morning. Like, I'm like right there where we're just trying to find that last little piece of what it is. And what the Navier strokes is it talks about like the singularity and explosions and like a vortex in a 3D space. So I feel like as I've been researching it, I feel like it could be useful in the understanding of black holes and things like that. So I'm super excited to continue to work on that. Riemann's hypothesis is a little bit more complicated. It has to do with the theta zeros and how they fall on like this half line, and but I also feel like I've found some new insights on that. I don't know, I'll probably publish all of that later this year or something. Exactly. Too much hate and too much fear mongering going on. Well, and that's the thing. Like, we spend a lot of time on social media. We spend a lot of time sharing things on social media. Hey, Soulful Harmony Healing, how are you today? Um, and a lot of the stuff that we share is chaos related. It is hate related. It is news that is amplified and narrated and twisted so that it's not exactly what, the story's supposed to be. It's what they want the story to sound like so that the story sounds, you know, um, better to them and it fits their narrative better. Because you always have to remember that we are constantly being bombarded with information in an attempt to normalize what the current narrative is so that they can continue doing it. Because the more that oh, thank you so much for that heart me, and those Go Popular, Soulful Harmony, and those heart puffs, Allie. We do appreciate all of that. Um, they want to normalize it so that they can continue on with this behavior without us making a big fuss about it, which is why it's so important that we are not quiet about these things. We need to always stay informed and make sure that we are sharing accurate information, not fluffed up, amplified information, accurate information. Or if we're not sharing it, we're at least staying informed with the accurate stuff because that's one way that we can combat the system. If we always know what's going on and what's really going on, and we take the time to do the research to make sure that we're not reading a headline and being like, well, this is true, I'm going to go tell everybody, we can slow the spread of all that poor information. And that's just like like I said, one of the tiny things that people need to do and really focus on in their daily life. Social media has basically turned into, I talked about this in my video, how it's like the everyday Swiss Army knife now. 50 years ago, everybody carried a Swiss Army knife because it was something that they could pull out of their pocket. It was an everyday tool. They could use it for everything to fix things. Nowadays, when we need something, we pull a smartphone out and everybody has one, and it does freaking everything. If you can't Google it, you can ask ChatGPT or Gemini or Grok or all those other AIs. Like, and then it has a calculator. But the sad thing is more people are more apt to turn to an AI or Google right now than they are to actually pull out a calculator because a lot of people can't understand how to do even like basic math nowadays, uh, which is unfortunate. But then when I see the curriculums that like my kids are going through, and I'm just like, okay, well that makes sense why basic math, or what I thought was basic math when I was a kid, is no longer basic. It's like advanced algebra. It's like, whoa, when did the shift happen? So we're trading, our intelligence, our critical thinking skills, our common sense for technology. We're letting technology do a lot of the thinking for us. And we need to get away from it. Social media is terrible. I'm glad that, they were dealt that loss in court last week, over that lawsuit, saying that I believe like Google and YouTube and Facebook, Meta, Instagram, their algorithms were unhealthy for the mental health of young people. Well, that's a great ruling, except for it's unhealthy for the mental health of all people. It's the truth, and it's because they know that people will always share the things that are people getting hurt or dramatic or fire or things like that. We're going to share that. We're going to comment on it. We're going to engage with it, and that's what makes the money. It's what keeps us scrolling. It's what keeps us on the app, on the phone. The longer that we have it open, the more chances they have to show us ads. The more chances they have to show us ads, the more money they make. The more money they make, the more they can invest into their marketing, into their schemes, while providing shitty platforms that only half work most of the time, and you can never actually deactivate or delete it because the buttons are hidden, or it's just the way that It's all designed. We're in a system that is designed and set up for us to consistently fail over and over and over again. And, and that's why I'm saying like there needs to be a change. But we just have to get people to understand that there needs to be a change, how there needs to be a change without people going off the deep end, because there's going to be a lot of radicals out there. There already is. A lot of extremists, a lot of people that can't separate reality from their, inside their head reality. Hey, Jobin, come on. Um, got Jobin over here. He's one of our cats. He's kind of shy. Uh, but yeah, they can't separate reality from, what they have, their own thoughts and opinions and ideas inside their own head. And at the rate it's happening is, to me, unbelievable. I can't believe how many people can't. It was like with the Great Synchronization, like I had no problem helping people out with the times when they'd ask questions. But at the same time, it's really not that hard to convert time zones considering you just add or subtract, from the time. So which is why I'm always trying to simplify things for people to make it, like I said, easy to read, easily accessible. I want everything we do to always be free. If you choose to support us in other ways, that's great. If not, that's great as well. If you're showing up and you want to do the 5 minutes, that's really all we're asking for is 5 minutes of your time once or twice a week to just hang out. You get to listen to my apparently annoying voice, according to this one fucking movie producer. I kind of laughed at him, but um but I'm not about the whole everything's got to be polished. They don't teach cursive anymore. How are the next generations going to be able to read the Constitution? Yeah, I mean they don't teach a lot of stuff. They got rid of home ec and shop, and they got rid of a lot of stuff. Yep, Allie, I had what was the comment that guy said about my voice? He said that it was the wrong pitch for the message that I was trying to send or something. And yeah, the wrong tone. And I like I said, I preach we go by Weird Squared for crying out loud. Our brand is Weird Squared. We use the word weird for everything. We appreciate the word weird. We love the idea behind uniqueness and everybody being their own. And so why am I going to spend all this extra time trying to polish up my streams and every time I stumble on my words because, apparently I stumble and, human being and don't want to sit there for 14 hours trying to record a video that may only get 300 views. Like, I want people to appreciate what I do for who I am and how I do it, which is about as natural and as free as I can make it. I use the internet for research and ChatGPT for compiling research, people want to talk about how bad AI is, but the truth is AI is only bad because of the people that designed it and the people that use it. AI by itself is not bad. Yes, it consumes water, but it doesn't actually consume the water. It doesn't make it toxic. It just makes it evaporate. So when they say that there's a water shortage, what they're really saying is that it hasn't been raining enough for us to be able to replenish our supplies because the water just evaporates. Um, so yes, it has its downfalls, it has its good parts, but really what it comes down to is how you use it and how the people program it. I use ChatGPT for compiling information. When I don't want to have to go through 1,000 websites to get little pieces of information, I can use ChatGPT, find the most important information, have it cite its sources, and then from there I can start reading. Um, and then, I guess one of my biggest like pet peeves is when I'm trying to read something or when I'm watching a video, right? And uh, there's a bunch of information in there that doesn't even need to be there. Like if it's a tutorial or something and all of a sudden they start talking about their dog. Like, what does your dog have to do with fixing this lawnmower? And why did you feel important to tell me in this video about, that's a tutorial about fixing your lawnmower? So I'm notorious for like skipping around videos to try to just find the pieces that I need, and it's the same thing with like reading. Like I don't actually like read anything. My brain is kind of weird where it just reads the keywords and then just fills the rest in on its own, so I can kind of just like skim pages and consume large amounts of information and understand it. So it's always been. I submitted a form on your site to volunteer a bit of time if you need it. Would love to help. Shade Plant Lady, would you she's on Instagram. Check out Shay the Plant Lady and make sure I don't forget about her. Yeah, Shay, we will definitely do that. I have slowly started responding to the volunteer forms. There's a lot of forms that got submitted, and unfortunately, there was a lot of forms in there that were either not volunteer forms or people sending spam or anything of that nature. So I'm slowly trying to get through them, but it's just me and Nikita right now that do like the website and most of the graphics. We have that lady Nikki, like I said, she was in the stream earlier, who has been doing some posters and things for us as well. But like for people that are trying to set up community events and organize on their own, that's really something you can do on your own. You know the time, you know the whole, 5 minutes forwards, and that's really all you need to get started. The rest would be how you turn it into your own kind of event, your own kind of thing to help draw people to whatever it is that you're doing, whether it be meditation or yoga or spiritual healing or sound healing, or if you have a restaurant and you want to start doing a 5-minute pause in your restaurant or, something like that, because, you can be creative about it and people love the idea of peace right now. I actually just saw, so, for anybody that actually pays attention to or paid attention to any of this from the beginning, we started the Great Synchronization. We started it back in February, right? And Plur's been around since like the 1980s or something like that. The peace, love, unity, respect. But it's always been like an EDM thing, electronic dance music. And ever since I had mentioned that in my first video, I've been noticing it more and more. If you go online, you still see or you start seeing a lot more posters that use the peace, love, unity, respect for their events and things like that. Well, was it last night? I was scrolling and I saw that Progressive did an ad, the insurance company, that was peace, love, and great rates. And I'm just kind of wondering if we didn't influence that, because like for the month of March, for the most of March, like I think the Great Synchronization was probably one of the more trending things on like Facebook and Instagram. So, you know, I feel like it was an opportunity for Progressive to definitely try to hop onto a trend. And I'd be happy to know that peace, love, unity, respect is trending, uh, as like an actual fad because we need it. There's so much just shitty stuff going on in the world right now, and we don't need that. We need more people talking about peace and love and finding ways to move beyond what we're dealing with right now, but doing it in a way that we don't lose part of ourselves or lose friendships or relationships or loved ones, because a bunch of old people can't figure out their shit. Because that's the truth of the matter is, like when you think about a war, and especially like when ones that involve Americans, these wars are being fought because a handful of old guys can't figure out their shit because they don't know what they want or they're not ready to face accountability. I don't think that that's justification for however many soldiers we've already lost over there, how many Iranians have lost their lives, how many just people in general. I don't think that that is a justification, and we need to stop letting that be the case because that's exactly what war is at this point. War is an attempt to control another country's resources, and I don't know. I just I'm tired of it. My brother and my dad were both in the military. My brother joined in 2001. He just retired last year. He spent probably like 9 years in the desert, probably because of war. And I don't feel like any of it was necessary. Nothing got better. Ever since the war in Afghanistan and Iraq the second time after the Gulf War, um, the economy has been fucking terrible. The price of everything is, I remember when gas was 99 cents, 99 cents a gallon. Where did that go? Like, but we got billionaires out there that pretty much afford whatever they freaking want. I'd like to buy the world a Coke. A Coke or some Coke? Because that's a big difference. You know, that's a huge difference. Go back to the 1920s, and then you can buy buy people a Coke. But yeah, definitely. I think the world just needs a hug. You know, like if I had to put it in simple terms, like the world just needs a gigantic hug, not one of those like bro hugs where you just like go up and like kind of squeeze each other and pat each other on the back. I'm talking about like that real like dramatic movie hug where you she goes running into the guy's arms and you pick her up and you swing her around and her legs go flailing around. Like that's the kind of hug that everybody in the world needs right now. Like I'm serious because I don't know, everybody just seems so irritable about everything and petty. And I'm notorious for this too. How petty the world has become about everything. Everything. Like, you can't go to a restaurant and order anything off a menu without there being 18 freaking modifications for like a cheeseburger. It's like there's 19 different cheeseburgers on this menu. You can't find one that you would eat as is. Like I understand people have personal preference. I do. In my opinion, if you are a picky eater, stay your ass home and learn to cook yourself. Don't put it on other people to cater to your needs when your needs are you're just particular, you know? Like I cooked for 20 years almost, professionally. I went to college for culinary arts, and used to love cooking, and I still do. What I hate is cooking for people because because man, people are so particular. I mean, nothing can be ever be temped perfectly for someone. No beef or meat or anything like that. Nobody likes certain vegetables, and then the gluten intolerance became a thing. Everybody became gluten intolerant, but then people wouldn't even realize half the time stuff that they were eating had gluten, and I'd call people out for it too, and they try to argue with me, but it's like, no, I'm sorry, but trust me, I know what gluten is. I know what flour is. I know what has flour in it. I've made everything on this menu. Like this is what I went to school for. So stay focused. Stay focused on what? I got Nikita over here sending me text messages. We got 5 minutes until the Great Synchronization or the weekly sync. And for those of you that are in here, we just pause for those 5 minutes. We repeat peace, love, unity, respect. We focus on positive things, good intentions. Really, I guess the best thing is to try to focus on what's important in your life, what you want to come to you in your life. You know, I know that lately I've been thinking about the idea of just stability in my life. Um, so that's something that I'm not saying out loud, but is constantly in my head is having stability, as well as peace, love, unity, respect. Because right now I think that's another piece that's kind of missing out of my life is the full stability aspect. So we're working on that. We continue towards that. We host these and we continue to do more content, and I'm trying to develop my writing and things like that, see if people are still reading anything nowadays, or if 3-second videos is pretty much all people do, which I would hope that's not the case because I feel like reading is important, but I don't know, I guess we'll see. But we're what, 3.5 minutes away. I better actually wet my lips or something, my mouth's kind of dry. But we do appreciate all of you guys for hanging out. Is complaining about customers really in alignment with your goals on here? Well, I mean, I wasn't necessarily complaining about customers. I was simply pointing out the fact that people in general, and this is all of society, have become so particular that they make life challenging for other people for no reason. So, this isn't just a customer thing. This is society as a whole, myself included. If you can't find contentment in some of the simplest things and you want to create complex problems for another person in their life, then you need to reevaluate your situation. Because if you're going to go out to eat somewhere at a restaurant, and this used to be more so the case with restaurants when there was more passion in cooking. You think about like fine dining restaurants, there's a lot of places you can't make modifications at a restaurant simply for the fact that that's not the reason why you went out to eat. You went there to try the art, the food from the chef. He is an artist, so it's not complaining about that. My goals are to get people to understand that there's always a different perspective. There's always a different way to look at things, and if we're always going to be hung up on just the small details of a much larger picture, we're never actually going to see the much larger picture that's needed and necessary in order to make change in this world. You know, I'm not here to nitpick on anybody, but I most certainly am not going to sugarcoat things for people simply because their opinions might be hurt. Not their feelings, their opinions. What was that?
But you can still respect their
I
preferences.
do respect people's preferences 100%, but this is my stream.
Yeah.
So, like,
I wouldn't do the same. Oh my
I don't know. I love you guys, you know, and I'm always open for conversations. Just realize that if you're gonna have a conversation with me, I don't sugarcoat things. You know, if I'm more than willing to call people out on the petty bullshit because that's really where we've gotten to in this point. You know, I do appreciate people. I respect people's opinions. I respect people's beliefs. I think that people's beliefs, opinions, and culture are kind of how we grow as a society. Without them, everybody would be neutral. We would be bland, and I'm not about that. I love the unique, the quirky, the weird, the wonderful, you know, all the things that make this world actually worth living. So, like I said, I'm always open to um, uh, conversations about any topics. You just have to realize that I'm very blunt about the way I go about things, and it's not that I don't respect people. It's just that I feel like people need to grow a little bit thicker skin when it comes to certain things, you know. But all right, we are 1 minute away. We have 1 minute to go until we sync for our evening sync. It's actually midday on the other side of the planet, but you get the picture. Hello, how are you, Luminary Spinning? How do you define stability? Uh, well, stability for me would be, you know, financial stability and stability in terms of, you know, the living situation and my relationship. You know, there's lots of areas where stability comes into the play. Hello, Meow, I didn't even see that you were in here. That come into play. It's just a matter of, you know, figuring out. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be figured out. Um,
5 seconds.
but yeah, we got just a few seconds before we hop into this. So for those of you that are in here, you know, we're getting ready to do our little 5 minute pause. And here we go. Peace,
Peace, love,
love, unity,
unity, respect.
respect.
Peace,
Peace,
love,
love, unity,
unity, respect.
respect. Peace,
Peace,
love,
love,
unity,
unity, respect.
respect. Peace,
Peace,
love,
love,
unity,
unity, respect.
respect. Peace,
Peace,
love,
love,
unity,
unity, respect.
respect. Peace,
Peace, love,
love,
unity,
unity, respect.
respect.
Peace,
Peace, love,
love,
unity,
unity, respect.
respect.
Peace,
Peace, love,
love,
unity,
unity,
respect.
respect.
Peace,
Peace,
love,
love, unity,
unity,
respect.
respect.
Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peace, love, unity, respect. Yeah, you got the mustache chain. Peace, love, unity, respect. 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 All right. Yeah, that was great, guys. I want to thank everybody for the gifts. Maria, thank you for the rose. Or Marie, Jane, thank you for the mustache hat. That was adorable. I do already have the mustache, by the way. Nikita for the Go Popular, Luminary Spring for the rose, Soulful Harmony for your Go Popular, and your Heart Me Alley for the Heart Puff. I appreciate those. And anybody who has been sending the stars on Facebook and the badges on Instagram. And I think we actually do have a subscriber, Meow. I think I did see her in here a little while ago. We do appreciate that. Just a reminder, the subscriptions. I guess on TikTok it does have some perks. There's some things attached to it, like the ability to pick certain topics that I talk about, and I think there's some subscriber-only group chat that's available if people are interested. But it's obviously none of it's necessary. We do this for you guys and to, like I said, to kind of create a space for you guys to connect. You can meet people in the comments, or I know there's been a lot of people that have made connections through the comments on our posts over the last couple of weeks, and so that's what we're here for. Yeah, so we do appreciate all of you for the follows and the likes, and tapping the screen, and all of that. That's how we're going to continue to make this free for everybody, is just through your guys' engagement and the things that you guys do. We're not trying to turn into one of those big corporations or anything. We just want to help you guys, just like everybody else. But yeah, I think tonight we're gonna call it early. I got my kids over right now. I don't know if you heard it. My oldest daughter actually chimed in like halfway through, which was pretty awesome. So, but we're actually gonna call this one early tonight. We love you guys. We appreciate everything. Thank you for the follows. Thank you for the shares. Thank you for